I will give you an example of two kinds of seeds. Imagine that I place the first seed deep in rich, dark soil. I cover it gently, give it water, and leave it in a quiet place where it does not have to prove anything. No one applauds it. No one asks when it will become a tree. No one digs it up every morning to check whether it is making progress. Yet beneath the surface, where nothing appears to be happening, the seed is changing. Its outer shell begins to open. A tiny root reaches downward before a single green shoot reaches toward the light. The seed understands something that we often forget. What will one day become visible must first be strengthened where no one can see it. A dream needs roots before it needs an audience. Now imagine a second seed. This seed is removed from the soil before its roots have formed and placed in full view so that everyone can admire its potential. People touch it, move it, compare it with other seeds, and offer many opinions about where it should grow. One person says it needs more sunlight. Another insists it belongs in a different kind of soil. Someone else laughs and says it will never become anything. The seed is exposed to heat, wind, careless feet, and hungry birds before it has developed the strength to protect its own life. It does not fail because there was no possibility within it. It fails because something fragile was revealed before it had a safe structure in which to develop. This is also true of many dreams. Not everything precious must be displayed the moment it begins to live within you. A new dream can feel so exciting that your first impulse is to tell everyone. You want to describe the business you will create, the book you will write, the career you will begin, the home you will build, or the person you are becoming. There is nothing wrong with excitement, and silence is not a magical rule that guarantees success. Yet a dream in its earliest stage is often more sensitive than it appears. It may still be an intuition rather than a plan. You may not yet have the language to explain it, the evidence to defend it, or the confidence to remain steady when someone questions it. At this stage, attention is not always nourishment. Sometimes attention becomes pressure. What the dream needs first may be private exploration, honest preparation, and enough repeated action to give it substance. A young dream does not need to impress anyone. It needs you to care for it consistently. You may be thinking, "But I only want encouragement." That is understandable. However, when you announce a plan and receive praise, the pleasant response can sometimes create a premature feeling of accomplishment. People congratulate you for beginning before you have completed the first difficult step. They tell you how inspiring the idea is, and for a moment you feel like the person who has already achieved it. This does not automatically destroy motivation, but it can quietly satisfy part of the emotional hunger that was meant to move you toward action. Talking begins to resemble progress. Describing the future becomes easier and more rewarding than building it. You return to the story because the story brings immediate admiration, while the actual work asks for patience, repetition, correction, and days when nobody notices. Be careful not to receive the celebration before you have built what is being celebrated. There is another reason to keep a new dream close. Too many voices can make your own voice difficult to hear. You may share a simple idea with 5 people and receive 5 completely different versions of what you should do. One tells you to make it bigger. Another advises you to remain realistic. One wants you to hurry, while another asks why you would take such a risk. Their advice may be sincere, but sincerity does not make every suggestion suitable for you. Before long, you are no longer listening to the quiet intelligence that first gave birth to the dream. You are trying to combine everyone's fears, preferences, experiences, and expectations into one confused plan. A dream that once felt alive begins to feel heavy because it is carrying opinions that were never part of its original design. This is especially important when the people around you love you but do not understand the path you are taking. Love and vision are not always the same ability. Someone may want to protect you from disappointment because they remember their own disappointment. Another person may encourage stability because uncertainty frightens them. A family member may consider your goal unrealistic simply because no one in the family has attempted anything similar. They are not necessarily trying to harm you. They are interpreting your possibility through the boundaries of what has felt possible in their own lives. Their fear may arrive disguised as practical wisdom. People like us do not do that. It is too late. The market is too crowded. Or, why not choose something safer? Listen for useful facts, but do not automatically adopt the emotional limits attached to them. Another person's fear is information about their inner world. It is not a prophecy about your future. When you speak too soon, you may also begin working to prove something rather than to create something. Your goal was initially connected to curiosity, joy, service, or personal growth. Then, after announcing it, the attention shifts. Now you are worried about what people will say if it takes longer than expected. You fear looking foolish if you change your method. You continue with an unhelpful plan because you do not want to admit that the idea needs revision. The dream becomes a public performance. Instead of asking, "What does this work need?" you ask, "How will this make me look?" This pressure can take the pleasure out of learning and make ordinary setbacks feel humiliating. Private development gives you permission to experiment, fail quietly, revise freely, and discover what is true before making promises. I allow my dream to change shape while it is still teaching me what it wants to become. Energy also becomes scattered through excessive explanation. Every conversation about the plan asks you to recreate its excitement, answer questions, defend choices, and imagine outcomes. You may spend hours discussing what you intend to do and arrive home with little energy left to do it. Speech has movement, but it is not always forward movement. A beautifully explained idea is still only an idea. One completed page, one practiced skill, one saved amount, one researched requirement, or one finished prototype carries more creative weight than another evening spent describing the future. Silence is not emptiness in this season. Silence is a container that keeps your attention available for construction. Let your actions receive the energy that your explanations used to consume. Not everyone can see what you see because they are standing in a different place. You may have received an inner image that has not yet become visible in the outer world. At the beginning, you may possess conviction without proof. This does not mean every idea is destined to succeed exactly as imagined. Dreams need testing, research, skill, and adjustment. But the absence of immediate evidence does not make an idea foolish. Everything created by human hands once existed as something that could not yet be shown. If you require unanimous approval before taking the first step, many worthy possibilities will never be explored. You do not need everyone to understand the whole journey. You need enough honesty to examine the idea, enough humility to learn, and enough courage to begin. Be discerning about whose ears receive your unfinished plans. Do not hand something tender to a person who treats vulnerability as entertainment. Do not ask for vision from someone committed to finding reasons that nothing can work. Do not seek confirmation from people who repeatedly mock growth, resent change, or turn every new idea into a comparison with themselves. Their judgment may say little about the quality of your dream and much about the condition of the space in which you placed it. You are not being secretive or superior when you choose privacy. You are recognizing that access should be earned through trust, wisdom, and genuine goodwill. My dream is not public property. I decide when, how, and with whom it is shared. This does not mean that you must build everything alone. Wise feedback can prevent costly mistakes, and certain dreams require partners, mentors, professionals, or practical cooperation. The lesson is not tell no one. The lesson is choose consciously. Share with people who can distinguish honest guidance from discouragement. Look for those who ask thoughtful questions. Respect your ownership of the vision and have relevant knowledge or experience. A trustworthy person does not need to flatter you. They may identify weaknesses, but their feedback helps you strengthen the work rather than shame you for attempting it. They do not try to take the dream away from you or reshape it into something that serves their preferences. After speaking with them, you may feel challenged, but you also feel clearer. For now, let your dream return to its quiet soil. Write it privately, research it carefully, give it a schedule, a first action, and room to develop without an audience. When you feel the urge to announce what you are going to do, ask yourself, would this conversation strengthen the dream, or am I looking for a moment of approval? There is no judgment in the answer. You are simply learning to direct your energy more wisely. Let your confidence grow from evidence you create through action. Let a few roots form before you ask the world to admire the leaves. I protect what is beginning within me. I nourish it with focused action, patient learning, and loving trust. I do not need to display the seed to know that life is already moving inside it. What could begin to grow within you if you stopped asking the world for permission to believe in it? Silence is often misunderstood as emptiness, yet it can be one of the richest spaces you create. When you stop explaining your plans, defending your desires, and collecting opinions, you begin to hear your own inner voice again. Beneath the noise of what your family expects, what society celebrates, and what other people consider realistic, there may be a quiet knowing that has been waiting for your attention. It does not shout. It may appear as a persistent interest, an idea that keeps returning, or a gentle feeling of aliveness when you imagine a different way of living. You cannot hear that guidance clearly while constantly asking everyone else what they think. Their voices may be louder because they are familiar, but louder does not mean wiser. Give yourself enough privacy to ask, if no one were watching, praising, or judging me, would I still want this? Your answer will help you distinguish a genuine desire from a performance created to win approval. In silence, I become available to the truth of what I really want. A private season allows you to examine your dream without turning every uncertainty into a public announcement. You can change your mind, adjust the direction, discard what does not fit, and keep what feels true. There is freedom in not having to report every development. You do not need to answer questions about when the project will be finished, how much money it will make, or whether your decision is sensible. You do not need a prepared defense for every step. This saves emotional energy that would otherwise be spent managing other people's reactions. Every explanation asks you to step outside the dream and describe it from the perspective of an observer. Every debate asks you to divide your attention between creating and defending. Silence lets that energy remain near the work. I am not obligated to provide updates on something that is still becoming clear within me. Silence also protects you from unnecessary comparison. Once other people know what you are building, you may begin watching those who appear further ahead. You compare their polished outcome with your unfinished beginning and decide that you are late. You see someone launch quickly and question the slower pace your own work requires. Then you may rush, imitate, or abandon the qualities that made the idea yours. In privacy, you can study others without turning their progress into a judgment against yourself. You can take what is useful and leave what does not belong to your path. Focus becomes easier because your attention is no longer being pulled toward reactions, competition, and the need to appear impressive. I return my energy from comparison and place it into preparation. What is mine deserves my full attention. Keeping something private is not the same as hiding in shame. Shame says, I must conceal this because it is foolish and I may fail. Conscious privacy says, I value this enough to let it develop before exposing it. One contracts your life. The other protects a process. You are not being secretive because you believe your dream is unworthy. You are choosing the timing of its visibility. There is a season for quiet formation and a season for expression. Wisdom knows that these seasons serve different purposes. You do not apologize for keeping a personal intention close, just as you would not apologize for closing the door while you rest. Privacy can be a form of self-respect. I do not hide my dream because I am ashamed. I shelter it because I am preparing to reveal it with strength. Instead of telling everyone what you intend to create, begin a private conversation with life. Take a journal that belongs only to you and write down the dream without trying to make it sound reasonable. Describe what you want as clearly as you can. What would you be creating, offering, learning, or experiencing? Whom would it serve? What would become possible if it took form? Then write about the feeling beneath the visible goal. Perhaps you desire freedom, contribution, stability, beauty, recognition, peace, or the chance to use more of your ability. This matters because the outer form may change while the inner value remains. A journal gives your thoughts somewhere to become organized without requiring them to perform for an audience. On these pages, I tell myself the truth about what I desire, and I allow clarity to grow naturally. You can also practice scripting by describing one ordinary day in the life you are creating. Do not write only about applause, money, or a dramatic moment of success. Write about how you wake, what kind of work you perform, how your body feels while doing it, whom you speak with, and how you use your time. Describe the problems you are now capable of solving and the responsibilities you have learned to carry. Include the practical details, because every desired life contains routines as well as celebrations. Write from gratitude, not as an attempt to command the universe, but as a way to familiarize your mind with a wider possibility. You might begin, I am grateful that I now spend my mornings creating work that is useful and true to me. Then ask what the person living that day had to learn, release, and practice. This transforms imagination into guidance. My vision does not remove me from reality. It helps me recognize the reality I am ready to build. Speak your intention aloud when you are alone if doing so helps it feel more definite. Your words do not need witnesses in order to matter. Stand before a mirror, look into your own eyes, and say, I am willing to take this dream seriously. I do not need to know the whole path today. I am ready to learn the next step. Notice any resistance that appears. Perhaps a voice says, you are too old, too inexperienced, too late, or too ordinary. Do not fight the voice. Answer gently. That is an old fear, and thoughts can be changed. Your private words are not promises that every result will appear exactly as imagined. They are declarations of willingness. They tell your mind that this possibility is now permitted to exist. After speaking, become quiet enough to listen. Guidance may not arrive as a dramatic sign. It may come as a practical thought. Make the call, study the requirement, simplify the idea, save a certain amount, or finish what you have already begun. Intuition often gives the next honest step rather than the complete future. If no answer appears, do not force one. Continue living, observing, and gathering information. Silence is not a machine into which you insert a question and receive an immediate response. It is a space where urgency loosens and subtler information becomes easier to recognize. I accept divine guidance, and I am willing to receive it through calm insight, useful facts, and timely action. Then move your energy from speaking into doing. If the dream requires a skill, begin learning it. If it requires a product, create the first imperfect version. If it requires money, study your current resources and establish a realistic plan. If it requires a new career, investigate the qualifications and begin closing the gap. Make the daily tasks small enough to be completed, but meaningful enough to move the dream. You do not need one spectacular action every morning. A page, a lesson, a design, a conversation, a saved amount, or a corrected mistake can be sufficient. What matters is that the dream receives something more substantial than enthusiasm. I nourish my vision through action. Each completed step gives it a stronger place in the world. Consistency is especially important when nobody is watching. Public attention can temporarily increase effort, but private discipline reveals whether you are truly committed. Some days you will feel inspired, and the work will flow easily. Other days it will feel repetitive or uncertain. Do not make changing emotion the manager of your future. Create a modest rhythm you can maintain. 20 focused minutes practiced regularly may accomplish more than occasional bursts followed by long disappearance. If you miss a day, return without turning the interruption into a personal failure. The purpose is not to build another system of punishment. It is to become someone who knows how to continue. I am not required to move quickly. I am invited to remain faithful to what matters. Let evidence develop before you seek attention. Finish enough of the product to know whether it works. Practice the skill until you can perform it with greater reliability. Test the service with a small number of people and listen to useful feedback. Build a process that can continue after the first wave of excitement. Results do not have to be enormous before they count. They simply need to demonstrate that the idea has moved beyond imagination. A finished chapter speaks differently from a plan to write a book. A satisfied client carries more weight than a long description of the business you might create. A practiced ability gives your confidence a foundation. I let preparation give substance to my belief. I create proof through what I complete. You do not need to make impressive promises. Speak less about what you will accomplish and become more interested in what you completed today. This protects you from building an identity around future intentions. It also gives you the freedom to change direction without feeling that you have failed publicly. When the work is ready, you can describe it simply because it exists. You will not have to persuade everyone that you are serious. Your consistency will have already answered that question. Let the result introduce the part of you that words once tried to prove. There is a beautiful, quiet confidence in saying, "This is what I have made," instead of repeatedly saying, "One day I am going to make something." Working privately does not mean working alone in every way. Certain dreams require guidance, accountability, financial advice, technical expertise, emotional encouragement, or collaboration. The important question is not whether you share, but whom you invite into the room. Choose a small inner circle deliberately. A trustworthy partner is also engaged in their own growth, so they understand the discipline required to develop something before it is visible. They can keep private information private. They want you to succeed without trying to control what success must look like. They are not secretly relieved when you encounter difficulty, nor do they compete with every piece of good news. I share my developing vision with people whose wisdom, character, and goodwill have earned access to it. The right person does not have to agree with everything you propose. In fact, someone who only flatters you may not protect the dream at all. Constructive support asks clear questions, identifies real risks, and helps you strengthen the idea without humiliating you for its imperfections. A safe person can say, "This part needs more work," while continuing to respect your capacity to improve it. They do not mock what is unfinished. They do not use your uncertainty as proof that you should stop. They do not take ownership of your choices after offering advice. When you leave the conversation, you may have more work to do, but you also have greater clarity. Pay attention to how your mind and body respond after sharing. Do you feel grounded and directed, or scattered and diminished? That response is useful information. Share with a purpose. Ask a specific question rather than presenting the entire dream merely to receive admiration. You might say, "Can you help me understand this requirement? Would you review this draft for clarity?" Or, "Do you know someone with experience in this area?" Purposeful sharing directs the conversation toward a need. Attention-seeking sharing often leaves you hungry for another reaction as soon as the first one fades. There is no shame in wanting encouragement, but be honest about what you are seeking. If you need emotional support, ask for that directly. If you need expertise, choose someone who has it. Do not give every person unlimited access simply because they are available to listen. I speak when speaking serves the dream, and I remain quiet when quietness serves it better. Some things are especially wise to keep private in their earliest stages. A new idea that has not yet been researched may need room to change without commentary. A career transition can remain close while you explore qualifications, finances, and realistic options. An experimental project may need testing before you attach your identity to it. A negotiation, application, interview, or possible opportunity is not yet a confirmed result. Announcing it too early can create pressure and invite questions before you have answers. You are allowed to say, "I am considering a few possibilities, and I will share more when something is settled." This is not dishonesty. It is accurate communication that respects uncertainty. New relationships may also benefit from privacy. When a connection is still forming, too many outside opinions can interfere with your ability to observe it clearly. You do not yet know what the relationship is, whether words will become consistent behavior, or how the two of you handle ordinary reality. Allow time to provide information before creating a public story. Privacy is different from secrecy that conceals harm or prevents you from seeking necessary support. If something feels unsafe, confusing, or controlling, speak with a trusted person. But you do not need to display every tender beginning to prove that it matters. I give new relationships time to reveal their truth before I give them a permanent name. Personal healing may also need a protected season. A new belief can be vulnerable when it first challenges years of self-criticism. A boundary may feel uncertain while you learn how to maintain it. You may be releasing an old identity that people around you still expect you to perform. If you announce every internal change, others may question it before you have experienced its benefits. Practice first. Let your new self-talk become familiar. Establish the boundary through repeated action. Allow the change to belong to you before asking anyone else to understand it. You do not owe the world a report on every part of your healing. Some transformations become stronger when they are lived before they are explained. Even early success can require protection. One good result does not always mean the system behind it is stable. If you celebrate as though the entire journey is complete, you may create expectations that the work cannot yet sustain. Appreciate the progress privately, study what caused it, and repeat what was effective. Give the result time to become a pattern. This is not minimizing your achievement. It is helping the achievement become durable. You may celebrate with your trusted circle while continuing to strengthen the foundation. I welcome early success with gratitude, and I give it time to become stable before asking it to carry greater attention. How will you know when the dream is ready to be shared more widely? One sign is that disagreement no longer has the power to make you abandon it immediately. You may listen, reconsider, and adjust, but you know why you began. Your commitment is no longer dependent upon receiving applause. Another sign is that action has created a foundation. You have a plan, growing competence, a prototype, completed work, or early evidence. You can answer basic questions without inventing certainty. The dream has encountered some reality and survived the meeting. I share from grounded commitment, not from the need to have strangers tell me that my desire is valid. Sharing is also appropriate when visibility serves the goal. A business must eventually meet customers. A creative work must eventually meet readers, listeners, viewers, or buyers. A project may need collaborators, funding, distribution, or community participation. At that stage, silence can no longer perform the job that communication must do. You reveal the work because it is ready to enter an exchange, not because you need to prove that you possess an idea. Your message becomes clearer because the work has taught you what it truly is. You can describe whom it helps, what it offers, and why it matters. The result begins creating trust that explanations alone could never manufacture. Do not turn privacy into permanent postponement. A dream kept silent but never acted upon is not being protected. It is being preserved in imagination. Silence must contain movement. Ask yourself honestly whether you are building or hiding. Protection makes the idea more concrete over time. Avoidance keeps it vague because vagueness prevents evaluation. If months pass and you have taken no step, The problem is probably not that the dream requires more secrecy. You may be afraid of being seen, tested, rejected, or discovering that the first version needs improvement. Meet that fear compassionately, but do not let it become your lifelong advisor. I can protect my dream without protecting myself from every possibility of discomfort. Nor should you wait for perfection before allowing the work into daylight. Perfection is an endlessly moving finish line. There must be a point at which preparation becomes participation. Decide in advance what ready enough means. Perhaps it means a complete first version, a certain level of training, several successful tests, or feedback from 2 qualified people. When those conditions are met, take the public step, release the product, submit the application, open the service, share the work, or begin the conversation. You are allowed to improve after becoming visible. The first appearance does not have to represent the final form. I prepare with care, and when the preparation has served its purpose, I allow myself to be seen. For the next 30 days, choose one dream to nourish. Do not select 5 goals that compete for the same time and attention. Choose the one that feels most important in this season, or the one whose next step is genuinely available. Write a simple sentence describing what you intend to build or explore. Then decide what progress could realistically look like after 30 days. It might be a completed outline, a finished sample, a practice skill, a financial plan, a research transition, or a tested service. The aim is not to complete an entire life transformation. It is to give one dream a real foundation. Keep this 30-day experiment private from the general public. You may share with a person whose direct help is necessary, but resist the urge to announce the challenge merely to feel committed. Let the commitment exist between you and yourself. Each day, complete one task that can be named. Study for 20 minutes, make 1 page, practice 1 technique, contact 1 appropriate person, review 1 expense, or improve 1 part of the work. On a day with little energy, reduce the size of the action rather than canceling your relationship with the dream. A small, completed movement keeps the connection alive. For 30 days, I give my dream evidence that I am willing to care for it. Record the evidence of development. Write what you completed, what you learned, what surprised you, and what needs adjustment. Do not record only impressive results. A mistake that reveals a weak assumption is useful progress. A difficult practice session can show you which ability requires attention. An idea you decide to remove may simplify the whole project. These notes will help you see growth that emotion might overlook. They will also prevent you from repeating errors and depending upon memory alone. At the end of each week, review the record without judging yourself. Ask, what is working? What is unnecessary? What would make the next week more focused? After 30 days, assess the dream honestly. Does it now have enough structure to continue privately for another period? Is there a specific person whose guidance would help? Has the work reached the stage where sharing could attract customers, partners, opportunities, or useful feedback? Are you withholding it because it still needs preparation? Or because visibility frightens you? Let the evidence answer. If the dream is not right for you, releasing it is not failure. The experiment has given you clarity. If it remains alive, choose the next season consciously. Continue protecting what is tender, but reveal what is ready to participate in the world. Keep your dream quiet while it is forming. Nourish it faithfully while no one is watching. And when its roots are strong enough, Let what you have created speak with a voice that no explanation could ever equal. I see so many people struggling with this, and I want to talk about it with you today. The need to explain yourself until you are exhausted. Perhaps you have said no to a request and then spent the next 10 minutes proving that you had a good enough reason. Perhaps you changed direction in your life and felt compelled to convince everyone that you were not making a mistake. You set a boundary, but then weakened it with apologies, details, and promises to compensate for having a need. Before long, a simple decision becomes a legal defense, and an ordinary conversation begins to feel like a courtroom. My dear one, your life is not a trial, and every person you meet is not a member of the jury. You may listen to advice. You may consider another point of view. You may change your mind when new information appears, but you do not need unanimous approval before you are permitted to make a thoughtful decision about your own life. I can listen to the opinions of others without giving them authority to approve my life. There is nothing wrong with explaining yourself when information is genuinely needed. A healthy explanation can prevent confusion, show responsibility, or help someone you love understand an important change. If your decision affects another person's time, money, work, or well-being, clear communication may be part of your responsibility. And if you have hurt someone, I do not owe anyone an explanation, should never become a hiding place from accountability. Repair requires honesty. The difficulty begins when explanation is no longer about information. It becomes an application for permission. You have already answered the question, yet you keep talking because the other person has not smiled. You add personal details because their disappointment makes you anxious. You begin defending needs that never required a defense. Then you leave the conversation feeling as though you have been searched, examined, and found guilty of living your own life. Notice 3 signs. First, you continue speaking after your answer is complete. Second, you offer more information only because the other person looks displeased. Third, you leave feeling ashamed, depleted, or strangely separated from yourself. When this happens, pause and ask, am I helping this person understand, or am I trying to purchase their approval? Approval is very expensive when you pay for it with self-abandonment. Beneath over-explaining, there is often a fear of being misunderstood. You may believe that if someone forms an inaccurate opinion of you, your reputation, goodness, or worth will somehow be damaged. So you work desperately to correct the picture in their mind. Yet you cannot fully control the story another person chooses to believe. Some people misunderstand because they lack information. Clarity may help them. Others misunderstand because they have already chosen a conclusion and have no sincere desire to revise it. More information will not necessarily create more understanding. It may only give them additional material to question. Learn to recognize the difference. Confusion accompanied by goodwill can be met with explanation. Judgment without curiosity usually requires a limit. You might say, I am happy to clarify, but I am not willing to defend my character repeatedly. That is not unkind. It is an honest description of what you will participate in. Sometimes this pattern began in childhood. Perhaps you were often doubted, blamed before being heard, or loved most visibly when you were pleasing and obedient. You may have learned that safety depended upon presenting a convincing case. If the adults understood your intention, perhaps punishment could be avoided. If you found the perfect words, perhaps affection would return. The child within you may still believe that another person's disapproval is dangerous. A raised eyebrow, a disappointed tone, or a brief silence can make your body rush into explanation before your adult mind has decided what to say. This is why over-explaining is not merely a communication habit. It may be an old attempt to stay safe. Place a hand over your heart and gently remind yourself, I am no longer the child who must persuade everyone in order to be safe. I am an adult, and I have the right to make responsible choices. Do not criticize the younger part of you for having learned this pattern. It was trying to protect you with the tools it had. Thank it, and then let the adult within you take over. You can survive another person's disappointment. You can tolerate being misunderstood. You can remain loving without surrendering your decision. Over-explaining can also reveal that you do not yet trust yourself. When you are uncertain, agreement from others temporarily reduces anxiety. You ask 5 people what you should do, hoping their answers will make you feel safe. But when those answers conflict, and they often do, the voice within you becomes even harder to hear. Before announcing a personal decision, sit quietly and ask 3 questions. Does this choice agree with my values? Have I considered the likely consequences? Am I willing to accept responsibility for what I choose? If the answers are clear, you do not need to assemble an outside committee to vote on your life. Self-trust does not mean assuming you are always right. It means trusting yourself to observe, learn, repair, and change direction when necessary. You are not demanding perfect foresight. You are developing an honest relationship with your own judgment. I do not need certainty about every outcome. I trust myself to respond wisely as new information appears. There is another pattern you must learn to recognize: the argument that was never intended to create understanding. Some questions are not questions at all. They are attempts to wear down your boundary. You answer once, and another accusation appears. You clarify that accusation, and the subject suddenly changes. Your feelings are dismissed, your memory is challenged, and you are asked to produce more evidence for an experience you have already described. You may think, if only I find the perfect words, they will finally understand. But the conversation is not missing the perfect explanation. It is missing goodwill. When someone is committed to controlling the outcome, every answer you give may simply become material for the next challenge. You are allowed to stop. You can say, I have answered this question. You can say, you do not have to agree, but my decision remains the same. You can say, this conversation is no longer respectful, so I am ending it now. Silence in such a moment is not weakness. You do not have to respond to every provocation, correct every accusation, or invite everyone into the private rooms of your mind. Silence can be the moment you stop feeding a conversation that has no honest destination. I do not use silence to punish. I use it when continuing would require me to betray my peace. Yet silence must also be used with maturity. Healthy silence comes after you have said what needs to be said. The other person is no longer listening. The exchange has become insulting, or further discussion would only deepen the harm. Avoidant silence is different. It hides needs you are afraid to express. It disappears in order to punish, It expects other people to guess what you feel. It postpones a necessary conversation because discomfort feels frightening. Peace does not come from never having difficult discussions. It comes from knowing which discussions are honest, which are repairable, and which have become invitations to abandon yourself. A simple practice can help. Be clear once, repeat once, and then stop. The first time, state the decision without unnecessary detail. I will not be able to attend. If pressure continues, repeat the message without adding another defense. I understand that you are disappointed, but I will not be attending. If the person continues to demand an explanation, close the exchange. I have answered you, and I am not discussing this further. Notice how calm this language is. It does not attack. It does not beg. It allows another person to have feelings without making those feelings the ruler of your decision. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. You may experience guilt after saying one clear sentence. The mind may whisper, "They think you are selfish." Go back and explain more. Breathe. Let the discomfort move through you without obeying it. Guilt does not always mean you have done something wrong. Sometimes it means you have stopped doing what kept everyone else comfortable. Today, practice letting one complete sentence remain complete. Do not decorate it with apologies. Do not fill every silence. Let the other person process what they have heard. Their reaction belongs to them. Your responsibility is to remain honest, respectful, and clear. I speak the truth with kindness. I explain what is necessary, take responsibility for what belongs to me, and release the need to make everyone agree. My decisions do not require a courtroom. My boundaries do not require a lengthy defense. I trust myself, I protect my peace, and I allow a clear answer to be enough. What would change in your life if you stopped believing that a boundary was something you used to push people away and began seeing it as information that teaches healthy people how to remain close to you? Many of us were never taught this. We were taught that love means always being available, that kindness means saying yes, and that a good person should be endlessly understanding. Then, when we finally become tired enough to say no, guilt arrives and tells us we have done something cruel. But a boundary is not cruelty, it is clarity. It does not close the heart. It protects the conditions in which the heart can remain open. A boundary does not say, "You must change." It does not say, "You are not allowed to feel disappointed," or "You have to agree with me." It says, "This is what I will participate in. This is what I will not participate in. And this is what I will do if an important limit is crossed." When you say, "If this conversation becomes insulting, I will end it," you are not controlling another person's mouth. You are choosing where your body will remain. When you say, "I do not answer work messages after this hour," you are not forbidding anyone from sending a message. You are deciding when your attention is available. When you say, "I will not lend that amount of money," you are not declaring the other person unworthy. You are deciding how you will manage your resources. When you say, "I do not share this subject," you are not being secretive. You are choosing which parts of your life are private. This distinction matters. Control tries to right another person's behavior. A boundary describes your response. Control says, "You must stop being angry." A boundary says, "You may be angry, but I will not stay while I am being shouted at. Control says, you must call me every day. A boundary says, if communication remains inconsistent, I will adjust how much I invest in this relationship. Control says, you must understand my decision. A boundary says, I have explained what is necessary and I will not continue defending it. A boundary does not tell another person who they must become. It reminds me of what I will choose. People who are capable of healthy connection usually benefit from clarity. They learn how to communicate with you when you are available, what you can reasonably offer, and what will interrupt closeness. They may not enjoy every boundary. They may feel disappointed, ask for clarification, or offer a compromise. A mature person does not have to like your answer in order to respect your right to give it. A person who has benefited from your lack of limits may react very differently. They may accuse you of changing, becoming selfish, or no longer caring. Do not assume that every strong reaction is proof that your boundary is wrong. Sometimes the reaction simply reveals how comfortable someone had become with your self-neglect. Perhaps you have changed. Perhaps you are no longer available at every hour. Perhaps you no longer lend what you cannot afford to lose, absorb every emotional crisis, or abandon your own plans whenever another person expresses disappointment. This is not necessarily a withdrawal of love. It may be the first time your love has included you. I include myself among the people whose time, feelings, health, and needs deserve respect. A boundary does not need a speech. You are allowed to say, that does not work for me. You may say, I cannot accept. You can say, I have considered it, and my answer is no. You can say, I am not discussing this subject further. Or, I will respond when we are both calm. You might say, I understand your point of view, but I have chosen differently. And sometimes the most loving sentence is simply, thank you for your concern. I will handle this myself. Short language can feel frightening when you have spent years explaining. You may worry that you sound harsh, but brevity and coldness are not the same thing. Coldness intends to punish or dismiss. Brevity intends to communicate without opening a decision to endless negotiation. Your tone can be warm while your meaning remains firm. Listen to the difference between, I am so sorry, and I hope you are not upset, and perhaps I can rearrange everything. But I am very tired and I have had such a difficult week. So, if it is not too inconvenient, I may not be able to come. And thank you for inviting me. I will not be able to come. The first sentence gives your decision away before you have finished speaking. The second respects both people. It communicates the answer without requiring the listener to approve your reason. You do not have to place your entire nervous system inside every no. When guilt appears, do not rush to erase your limit. Guilt is not always a moral message. Sometimes it is the emotional echo of an old role. If you have always been the rescuer, not rescuing can feel wrong. If you were taught to keep everyone happy, another person's disappointment may feel like danger. If your family praised you for being easy, quiet, and self-sacrificing, having needs can feel like disobedience even in adulthood. The body often interprets unfamiliarity as risk. A new behavior may produce discomfort simply because it is new. This is why one question can be so helpful. Have I done something wrong? Or have I simply done something different? Examine the boundary with honesty. Did you communicate it respectfully? Does it protect your health responsibilities, values, safety, or limited resources? Are you willing to accept the natural consequences? If so, the guilt may not require correction. It may require patience. Place a hand over your heart and say, I know this feels unfamiliar. We are not in danger because someone is disappointed. We are learning that love can survive an honest answer. Then let the discomfort pass without immediately offering more than you can sustain. Some people may withdraw when you establish limits. This can be painful. Yet it may also reveal that the relationship depended upon access rather than mutual care. A person who loves only the version of you who never says no is not yet loving your whole being. Healthy closeness makes room for two people, not one person and the other person's endless accommodation. I do not remove a healthy boundary merely to make temporary guilt disappear. There are times when a boundary means ending a conversation. You do not have to remain in every exchange until the other person gives you permission to leave. Stop when you have stated the same truth repeatedly and it continues to be deliberately distorted. Stop when the tone becomes insulting, threatening, or humiliating. Stop when the goal is no longer understanding but domination. Stop when you feel yourself losing the ability to speak from clarity. You can say, this conversation is no longer useful. I am stopping here. You do not need to announce a final verdict about the other person. You do not need to produce a dramatic closing statement that proves you have won. The purpose of leaving is not victory. It is preventing the conversation from turning you into someone you do not want to be. Walking away from an argument does not mean avoiding all disagreement. A healthy relationship is not one in which nobody becomes uncomfortable. It is one in which discomfort can be handled without destroying dignity. Two people may misunderstand each other, become defensive, and still return with accountability. They can apologize, clarify, and change their behavior. Before ending an important relationship, ask whether repair is possible. Is the other person capable of acknowledging impact, not only intention? Are both of you making changes? Or is one person doing all the emotional labor? Does respect return after conflict? Is there evidence of growth beyond repeated promises? Do not use walking away as a way to frighten another person into chasing you. Do not disappear in order to punish. Do not cut off every person who disagrees with you and call it peace. If you leave every time your self-image is challenged, you may protect yourself from growth as well as harm. Discernment asks whether the experience is difficult because honesty is required, or harmful because dignity is repeatedly violated. A workplace, friendship, family system, or partnership may no longer be healthy when you must continually reduce yourself to remain accepted. Reasonable limits are punished. Promises are repeated, but behavior does not change. You live in constant vigilance, confusion, or self-doubt. The cost of staying is increasingly paid through your health, self-respect, or safety. When these patterns are present, leaving may be an act of deep responsibility, but leaving can require planning. Shared finances, children, housing, employment, immigration status, family responsibilities, or legal commitments may make departure complex. If violence, coercive control, stalking, threats, or other genuine danger exists, seek appropriate support. Do not rely on confrontation or affirmations alone. Safety may require trusted people, professional services, legal advice, secure communication, and a carefully timed plan. Strength is not always a sudden exit. Sometimes strength is preparing quietly until you can move safely. I do not leave to create fear. I leave when staying repeatedly requires me to abandon my dignity, health, or safety. You may leave a room and still carry the argument with you. The body is gone, but the mind remains seated at the table, presenting another defense. You imagine what you should have said. You respond to accusations that were never spoken. You finally produce the perfect sentence, and then imagine the other person finding another way to misunderstand it. Hours pass, and the conversation continues without anyone else being present. This inner trial can be more exhausting than the original exchange. You are playing every role: defendant, lawyer, witness, judge, and sometimes the person criticizing you. The mind believes that if it replays the event enough times, it will gain control over what happened. But repetition cannot change another person's willingness to understand. When you notice this, say, "I have said what needed to be said. I am not continuing this trial inside my mind." Then give the body evidence that the conversation has ended. Feel your feet making contact with the ground. Notice the movement of your breath without trying to improve it. Listen for 3 sounds: wash a cup, fold a towel, take a short walk, or return to the task in front of you. You may need to redirect yourself many times. Do it without irritation. Each return teaches the mind that your attention is no longer available for endless defense. Letting go of the argument does not mean admitting that the other person was right. It means their misunderstanding will not occupy another evening of your life. Before responding to a text message, personal question, criticism, or demand, use what I call the peace filter. It has 4 simple questions. First, does this person have a right to know? Some people genuinely need information. A partner may need clarity about a decision affecting shared finances. A colleague may need information required to complete work. Someone harmed by your behavior may deserve an honest explanation. But curiosity does not automatically create entitlement. A distant relative, acquaintance, colleague, or online stranger is not owed access to your private life merely because they asked. You do not need an elaborate excuse. "I prefer to keep that private," is a complete answer. Second, will my response serve a practical purpose? An explanation may help coordinate plans, repair harm, resolve confusion, or make an informed decision possible. In that case, speak. But if every answer becomes the beginning of another accusation, the exchange may no longer have a useful destination. Ask yourself, what will be different after I answer? If the realistic answer is nothing, they will only ask me to defend myself again. Silence may be the wiser response. Third, is this person capable of listening? Vulnerability should not be offered indiscriminately. Do not hand your softest truths to someone who has repeatedly turned private information into ridicule, gossip, control, or ammunition. You can remain honest without revealing everything. Privacy is not deception. It is discernment about where your inner life is safe. A person may have the right to receive the decision without having the right to receive every fear, memory, and private process that led to it. Fourth, am I calm enough to say what I actually mean? The pressure to respond immediately can make reaction feel like strength. Yet speed often gives the most frightened part of you the microphone. If your hands are shaking, your breathing is shallow, or your thoughts are racing toward attack and defense, pause. Say, I need time to think. I will return to this later. Then truly return if responsibility requires it. A pause should not become an excuse to avoid necessary communication. It is time used to separate the message from the emotional storm surrounding it. During that pause, resist the temptation to compose a very long message proving every point. Ask instead, what is the essential truth? What outcome am I seeking? What part belongs to me? Can I express it in 3 sentences? Often you will discover that clarity requires far fewer words than anxiety. I do not confuse a rapid reaction with strength. My power is present in the pause where I choose my response. Protecting your peace also involves your mental environment. It is not enough to leave one exhausting person if you allow dozens of other voices to occupy your mind from morning until night. Your attention has doors, and you are allowed to decide which ones remain open. Notice conversations that always become gossip. They may feel like connection in the moment, but you leave carrying judgments, tension, and information that was never yours to hold. Notice content that repeatedly produces comparison, rage, or helplessness without leading to useful action. Notice group chats where every message appears to demand an immediate response. Notice relationships that seek you only as a place to empty emotion but offer no curiosity about your inner world. And notice the habit of rereading painful messages. You may tell yourself you are searching for clarity, but sometimes you are only searching for one more reason to hurt. The words remain the same. The body experiences them again each time. Begin making quiet, practical changes. Turn off notifications that do not deserve instant access. Choose a limited time for news rather than carrying the entire world's alarm system in your pocket. Do not answer emotionally charged messages when your body is already exhausted. Leave one portion of the day free from other people's opinions. You do not have to announce each adjustment. You may mute a conversation, unfollow an account, leave a group, or place your telephone in another room. Peace is often restored through decisions so ordinary that nobody applauds them. Choose silence not because you fear life, but because you wish to hear yourself again. When every moment is filled with commentary, comparison, advice, criticism, and urgency, your inner voice becomes difficult to recognize. Silence creates the space in which your own perception can return. My attention is a precious asset. I choose where it belongs and what deserves to remain within it. This does not mean surrounding yourself only with people who agree with you. Peace is not intellectual isolation. A wise friend may challenge you. Useful information may make you uncomfortable. Growth sometimes arrives through a truth you would rather not hear. The question is not, does this disturb me? The question is, does this help me become clearer, wiser, or more responsible? Or does it merely keep me agitated and powerless? You can also care for someone without becoming an unlimited emotional resource. A friend may be passing through grief, fear, or crisis and needs support. Compassion is beautiful. But if every interaction becomes a one-way release and your limits are ignored, you may say, I care about you, but I do not have the capacity for this conversation today. You are not rejecting the person. You are telling the truth about what you can give without causing harm to yourself. Now let us speak gently to the part of you that has become so tired from proving, explaining, and defending. Let these words enter slowly. I release the need to make everyone understand me. I have the right to make responsible decisions for my own life. I communicate clearly and briefly, and I do not apologize for legitimate needs. Another person's disagreement is not an emergency. I allow others to hold their opinions without making those opinions my identity. I am safe to end a conversation that has lost respect. I can love another person without giving them authority over my inner peace. I trust my wisdom, examine my choices honestly, and take responsibility for what belongs to me. These affirmations do not mean that you are always right. They do not mean refusing correction or denying the consequences of your behavior. They mean you will no longer confuse humility with self-erasure. You can admit a mistake without surrendering your dignity. You can listen without obeying. You can apologize without becoming a permanent defendant. You do not need to spend your life explaining why you changed, why you said no, why you ended something, or why you selected a path others would not choose. Communicate what is necessary. Honor your commitments. Repair the harm you have caused. Then let the way you live answer what another explanation cannot settle. Those who truly care for you may need time. They may not immediately understand your new limits. They may feel disappointed or surprised. But healthy love will not require you to betray yourself in order to restore another person's comfort. And someone determined to misunderstand you will not suddenly become receptive because you produce 100th explanation. Let your life become the answer. Let your consistency explain the decision. Let the peace in your body explain why the boundary was necessary. Let your increasing health, clarity, and integrity speak more loudly than an argument. You do not have to win every debate. Sometimes the deepest victory is leaving with your character intact. You do not have to correct every false opinion. Sometimes freedom is allowing someone to be wrong about you while you continue living honestly. You do not need the final word. You need to remain connected to yourself after the words are over. Take a slow breath. Release the tension from your jaw. Let your shoulders rest. Imagine placing all your unused explanations on the ground. You are not giving up love. You are giving up the impossible task of controlling how every person interprets your life. I no longer ask permission to be myself. I speak truth with love, maintain my boundaries with calmness, and leave what repeatedly dishonors the life within me. I explain what is necessary and release the rest. I do not need to win every argument. I need only refuse to lose myself. I choose peace, and I am free. Let me explain this to you, because I do not want you to turn healing into another place where you feel inadequate. You are living in a world that celebrates speed. Meals arrive quickly, answers appear in seconds, videos end before the mind has fully settled, and someone is always promising a completely new life in 7 days. Without realizing it, you may begin applying this rhythm to your emotional world. You expect one act of forgiveness to erase years of hurt, one meditation to end anxiety, or several affirmations to produce complete self-love by the end of the week. Then an old feeling returns. You become afraid again, cry over something you believed you had released, or react in a way that resembles your former pattern. Immediately, the mind says, I have failed. I did the practice incorrectly. I should be further along by now. But healing is not a task you complete and remove from a list. It is the gradual rebuilding of a safe relationship with yourself. If you have lived for many years with fear, shame, self-criticism, or the belief that love must be earned, these patterns may not disappear simply because you understand them intellectually. Understanding opens the door. Repetition, compassionate action, support, and time help you walk through it. I refuse to turn my healing journey into another reason to criticize myself. Impatience can become a subtle form of inner violence. You may believe you are encouraging yourself when you say, "Come on, get over it." You should not still feel this way. Yet the part of you that is hurting hears another message. You are taking too long. Your pain is inconvenient. I will accept you only when you become easier to live with. Perhaps you have heard this message from other people. Now, without intending to, you repeat it internally. You reject your sadness because it interrupts productivity. You force positivity because you fear that a difficult emotion will attract more difficulty. You compare your recovery with someone else's and turn pain into a competition. There is no loving finish line here. Another person may recover differently because their history, resources, body, support, and circumstances are different. Even two people who experience a similar event may need different paths through it. Comparison cannot tell you what your system requires. When you say, "I should not still be sad," you abandon the part that needs comfort. When you insist that you must be positive, you suggest that only your cheerful self deserves love. But love that disappears during grief is not the kind of love that heals. I do not need to become more pleasant before I deserve my own tenderness. Acceptance does not mean deciding to remain in pain forever. It means being honest about what is present so that you can respond appropriately. You say, "Sadness is here, fear is here, anger is here." You are not inviting the emotion to rule your life. You are no longer wasting energy pretending it does not exist. Then you ask, "What would support me while I move through this?" Perhaps you need rest, movement, information, a boundary, an honest conversation, or the presence of someone trustworthy. Perhaps you need to write, cry, pray, spend time outdoors, or reduce the demands you are placing upon yourself. Sometimes you need qualified professional care. Patience is not passive neglect. If emotional distress continues, seriously disrupts sleep or daily functioning, or makes you feel unsafe, loving patience includes seeking help. You do not prove strength by suffering alone. A therapist, physician, counselor, support group, or crisis service may become part of the path. Accepting where you are does not prevent action. It makes wise action possible. Change the way you speak to yourself. Instead of saying, "I must get over this," say, "I am moving through this one day at a time." Replace, "I must be more positive," with, "I am willing to find one thought that feels a little kinder." Replace, "I cannot be weak," with, "I can feel vulnerable and still possess strength." Notice how the new language does not deny the difficulty. It removes the whip. I do not command myself to heal. I accompany myself while healing unfolds. Nature can teach us something about this process. Every season has its own work, and no season is required to look like another. There is a season of planting. This is when you introduce a new possibility into your mind. You begin speaking more respectfully to yourself. You recognize a pattern that no longer serves you. You establish a boundary, ask for support, or practice a different habit. The beginning may seem very small. You may say no once and feel guilty for hours. You may look into the mirror and manage only, "I am willing to stop attacking you." Do not dismiss this. A new pattern often begins as one unfamiliar choice. Then comes the season in which the seed is hidden. From the outside, very little appears to be happening. You may still feel afraid even though you are acting differently. You may understand that you are worthy and still experience the old sensation of inadequacy. The mind and body are becoming acquainted with a response they have not practiced for long. This stage is easily mistaken for stagnation. You say, "Nothing has changed because I still feel uncomfortable." But perhaps the change is that you no longer send the impulsive message. Perhaps you notice the criticism sooner. Perhaps you ask for clarification rather than constructing a story of rejection. The emotion has not vanished, but it no longer controls every behavior. The absence of visible proof does not mean that nothing within me is changing. Eventually, a flowering season arrives. The new response requires less effort. You say no without being consumed by guilt. You recognize a trigger and remain present long enough to choose your words. You stop confusing inconsistency with passion. You select people and environments according to health rather than familiarity. The true flower is not that you feel wonderful every moment. It is that your way of living has changed. Your behavior begins reflecting the truth you have practiced. You recover sooner. You repair more honestly. You stop sacrificing your dignity for temporary reassurance. And then there is winter, a season many people resist because it does not look productive. Winter asks for quiet, integration, and rest. After intense growth, the body and mind may need fewer goals, less stimulation, and more recovery. You may feel tired after leaving an unhealthy relationship, completing demanding work, or processing old grief. This does not always mean you are losing momentum. It may mean your system is absorbing what has changed. You cannot demand continual flowering from a living being. Even joy needs a place to rest. There are times when the most loving action is not to add another practice, challenge, or promise. It is to sleep, simplify, receive appropriate care, and let the pressure fall away. Winter is not the death of growth. It protects what will be needed for the next season. So ask yourself, which season am I in? Do I need to plant a new belief? Continue quietly while the new response becomes familiar? Recognize the evidence that has already appeared? Or allow a period of restoration without calling myself lazy? Do not force a flower in winter or demand visible growth from a seed that has only just been planted. Meet the season honestly. I allow myself to have quiet seasons. Rest is part of my growth. I am not late, I am not failing, and no one is rushing me. I take the time I need to become a safe and loving home for myself. I want to share something personal with you. There have been times when I looked at my life and thought I should have been further along. I believed I should have understood myself more completely, healed more quickly, made fewer mistakes, and reached certain milestones before a particular age. I looked at other people and imagined that they had received a map I had somehow missed. Their lives seemed to move forward, while mine appeared to pause, circle back, or take a road I had never planned to travel. But I eventually learned that the thought, "I am behind" is rarely a fact. It is usually a judgment created by comparing a real, complicated life with an imagined schedule. Society offers you many deadlines. Be successful before 25. Marry before 30. Own a home. Reach a certain income. Establish a career. And know exactly who you are by a particular age. These expectations are repeated so often that they begin to sound like laws. Yet they are cultural preferences, not measurements of your worth, wisdom, or readiness. There is no universal age at which love must arrive. There is no single timeline for building financial stability, discovering meaningful work, recovering from loss, or learning to trust yourself. Circumstances matter. Health matters. Opportunity, family responsibility, education, discrimination, geography, resources, and unexpected events all influence a person's path. Two people of the same age may be carrying entirely different lives. A life that looks different is not a failed life. You may become successful later than someone else and bring maturity to that success that you did not possess earlier. You may begin again after a divorce, illness, financial loss, or long period of caregiving. You may discover an ability at 50 that you never had the freedom to explore at 20. The value of a beginning is not reduced because it arrived after someone else's. I release the belief that my life must obey a schedule created by people who have never lived my story. Comparison makes you forget what your own journey is teaching you. You see someone's result, but not the conditions beneath it. You see the wedding photograph, not the private quality of the relationship. You see the promotion, not the support, sacrifices, connections, or years of preparation involved. You see the home, not the debt, inheritance, assistance, or decisions behind it. You are comparing your complete inner experience with a carefully selected piece of someone else's exterior. Another person's life can inspire you. It may reveal possibilities or practical steps you can learn. But when inspiration becomes self-rejection, return your attention home. Instead of asking, "Why am I slower?" ask, "What is appropriate for me now? What do I genuinely want beneath the pressure to look successful? Which step belongs to me today?" Sometimes you will discover that the goal you were chasing was not truly yours. You wanted the title because it promised approval. You wanted the relationship because being single made you feel judged. You wanted the house, income, or lifestyle because you hoped it would silence the fear that you were not enough. There is nothing wrong with wanting these things, but your desire becomes clearer when it is no longer mixed with the need to prove your value. Trusting your timing does not mean waiting passively for the universe to organize everything. You still learn, prepare, heal, apply, speak, practice, and make decisions. Patience is not the absence of action. It is the absence of self-punishment while action matures. You plant what you can plant. You care for what is growing. You correct what is not working. But you do not shout at the soil because it has not produced a flower according to your calendar. I act responsibly, and I allow the results to mature according to their own rhythm. This distinction matters because healing rarely moves in a straight line. You may have a week of deep peace and then cry over something small. You may feel confident for months until one rejection awakens the old fear of being inadequate. You may believe you have healed abandonment, only to feel panic when someone becomes distant. The return of an old feeling does not erase what you have learned. You are not necessarily back at the beginning. You may be meeting a familiar theme with more awareness, more language, and more choices than you possessed before. Think about what now happens when the feeling appears. Perhaps you recognize it within minutes instead of days. Perhaps you calm your body before sending a message. Perhaps you ask for clarification rather than assuming the worst. Perhaps you speak with someone trustworthy instead of isolating yourself. Perhaps you feel the pain without using it to attack another person. This is progress. We often measure healing by asking whether the wound ever appears. A more useful measure is how you respond when it does. Do you notice it sooner? Do you recover more gently? Do you understand what support is needed? Can you prevent one difficult hour from becoming a judgment about your entire future? I can meet an old feeling without becoming my old self. Healing may also unfold in layers. At first, you address the visible behavior. You stop checking the phone repeatedly, shouting during conflict, abandoning the task, or agreeing when you want to say no. Later, you discover the fear beneath the behavior: rejection, failure, loneliness, or loss of control. Beneath that fear, you may find an even older belief: I am not lovable, I must be perfect, my needs are dangerous, or I cannot survive disappointment. Each layer becomes visible when you have enough stability to meet. What feels like repetition may actually be depth. You are not failing because the subject has returned. You may be encountering a part you could not safely approach before. When you hear yourself asking, "Why is this back?" try asking, "What does this layer need me to understand now? What am I capable of offering it today that I could not offer before?" Perhaps the answer is not another explanation. Perhaps it needs a boundary, a period of grief, professional support, or a new daily structure. Perhaps it needs you to stop treating its fear as an inconvenience. Patience is how you become a loving parent to the younger parts of yourself. If you were told to stop crying, stop being sensitive, or become strong before you were ready, you may now repeat those demands internally. The voices once surrounding you have become the voice you use against yourself. The child within you does not need another impatient adult standing over the pain. This part does not need a lecture about positive thinking. It needs the experience of someone staying. Place a hand over your heart and say, "I know you are afraid." You do not need to become better immediately. You may feel what you need to feel. I will not leave you because today is difficult. We will move through this together, one small step at a time. You may feel emotional when you say these words, or you may feel nothing. Do not judge the response. Inner trust is not created through one dramatic exercise. It is built when the adult you are today begins behaving differently toward the needs that were once ignored. If your younger self lacked safety, create more predictability where you can. Establish a rhythm for sleep, meals, work, and recovery. Keep your home and finances as orderly as your circumstances allow. Let your body learn that life no longer changes according to every mood around it. If you were not heard, write down what you feel before deciding whether anyone else must understand. Name the emotion, the event that activated it, and what you need. Listening to yourself does not replace healthy human connection, but it prevents your inner reality from depending entirely upon someone else's agreement. If you were forced to become serious too early, restore play. Make something without needing to sell it. Sing, draw, move, laugh, watch something delightful, or spend time with people who allow you to be spontaneous. Play is not a betrayal of your responsibilities. It returns flexibility to a life that may have been organized around survival. If you experienced abandonment, keep small promises to yourself. Do not promise a complete transformation. Promise something believable. I will rest tonight. I will make the appointment. I will not return to the conversation while insults continue. Every fulfilled promise says to the younger part, I came back. I did not forget you. Healing the inner child is not only an imaginative meeting, it is the way the adult within you arranges daily life. Now I want to give you 3 practices for loosening the pressure and trusting your process. The first practice is to stop the clock of judgment. Whenever you hear, I should have healed by now, I should already be successful, or I should know what I am doing, pause. The word should often conceals a borrowed deadline. Ask, who established this timeline? Is it realistic for my present circumstances? Am I being moved by love or driven by shame? What might change if I allowed myself more time? You may discover that urgency is coming from fear of judgment rather than genuine necessity. Or you may recognize that a decision truly does require action. The purpose of the questions is not to avoid responsibility. It is to separate wise urgency from self-punishment, then replace the old command. I am healing at a pace my mind and body can integrate safely. This does not mean every delay is necessary or that you should remain indefinitely inside avoidable patterns. It means lasting change cannot always be forced by increasing pressure. Sometimes the system needs repetition and safety before a new response becomes available. The second practice is to reduce the journey to 1 day. Do not try to repair your whole childhood tonight. Do not demand that you know the future of your relationships, career, body, and finances before tomorrow morning. The mind becomes overwhelmed when it is asked to solve a lifetime all at once. Choose 1 action for today, breathe slowly for 2 minutes, write 1 page, decline 1 request beyond your capacity, schedule 1 appointment, put 1 financial fact on paper, go to bed earlier, tell 1 truth, allow 1 moment of rest without defending it. A small act performed today has more healing value than an enormous plan that continually frightens you away from beginning. I do not have to complete my journey today. I only need to remain with myself today. The third practice is to collect evidence of support. Impatience notices what remains unresolved and overlooks every quiet sign of development. At the end of the day, write down 1 moment when you treated yourself more gently. Record 1 old reaction you noticed before it took over. Name 1 need you respected, 1 form of help you allowed yourself to receive, and 1 unresolved matter you permitted to wait. This practice teaches the mind to recognize subtle progress. Perhaps you still felt guilty after setting a boundary, but you maintained it. Perhaps you became anxious, but you did not chase reassurance. Perhaps you did not finish the entire task, but you began. Perhaps you had a difficult day and did not call yourself a failure. These are not insignificant events. They are evidence that a new relationship with yourself is forming. You must also learn to distinguish patience from procrastination. Patience takes the appropriate step and allows time for the process to develop. It rests in order to recover. It adjusts expectations according to available resources. It accepts that progress may be uneven. Procrastination continually avoids a necessary conversation. It says, the timing is not right, when the deeper truth is, I am afraid. It waits for complete confidence before taking an action through which confidence could grow. It hopes time will solve a problem that actually requires a boundary, application, apology, appointment, or decision. Ask yourself, am I giving this time to mature, or am I using time to avoid what needs my participation? If the honest answer is avoidance, do not attack yourself. Shame will only make the action feel more dangerous. Reduce it. What is the smallest step that brings you into contact with reality? You may not need to hold the whole conversation today. Perhaps you need to schedule it. You may not need to complete the project. Perhaps you need to open the document and outline the first section. You may not need to solve the health concern alone. Perhaps you need to contact a qualified professional. Patience says, I will not force the entire journey. Courage says, I will not use gentleness as permission to disappear from it. Many signs of healing are quiet enough to be missed. You may no longer tell the painful story with the same emotional intensity because it no longer needs to be proven. You begin recognizing fatigue before your body forces you to stop. You spend less energy trying to make everyone understand your choices. You stop calling unpredictability passion or chaos love. You may still feel guilty after saying no, but you keep the boundary. You recover more quickly after a trigger. You change your mind when new information appears without accusing yourself of weakness. Peace, which once felt empty or suspicious, begins to feel nourishing. You ask for help before exhaustion becomes collapse. You treat yourself kindly on a day when very little was accomplished. You stop contacting the person who continually awakens insecurity. You no longer rehearse the argument because winning it in your imagination has lost its importance. Progress is not always noisy. Sometimes it is what I quietly no longer do. Do not underestimate the significance of what has ceased. The message you no longer send, the insult you no longer direct toward your reflection, the promise you no longer believe without evidence, and the responsibility you no longer carry for everyone else's emotions are all forms of movement. Now, if you have been feeling too slow, let these words speak to the part of you that has been looking nervously at the clock. No one is rushing me. I am not being left behind. I have permission to heal at a pace that supports my well-being. I am patient with the parts of me that are still learning to apply me. Feel safe. One difficult day does not erase everything I have learned. I allow rest to restore my strength. I do not compare my timing with another person's life. I do not compare. Take each responsible step without trying to force the result. I am becoming whole in a gentle and sustainable way. Little by little, things are becoming clearer and more peaceful. Choose the affirmation that creates the smallest opening inside you. You do not need to repeat all of them as another assignment. Let one sentence accompany you for several days. Write it somewhere visible. Return to it when the clock of judgment starts ticking. And please remember, you do not have to reach the destination before you deserve love. You are not a defective project that must be repaired quickly. You are a human being learning to come home to yourself. There will be days of forward movement, days of necessary rest, and days when an old reaction makes you believe you have returned to the past. All of these days can belong to the journey. The important thing is not that you always move beautifully. It is that you stop leaving yourself whenever movement becomes difficult. Do not stand beside your healing with a clock in one hand and criticism in the other. Stand there as the loving companion you once needed. Offer truth without cruelty, structure without force, and encouragement without denial. A deep part of you already knows how to move toward wholeness. Your role is not to drag it forward. Your role is to create enough safety for the next step to become possible. So breathe. Release the imaginary schedule. Let today be enough for today. I am patient with myself. I release every deadline that does not belong to my heart. I no longer force my wounded parts into silence to prove that I am healed. I listen, support, and accompany myself through every season. I have time. I am making progress. I am safe within this journey, and life is gently supporting me one step at a time.